No, he doesn't. Okay. Saba, he'll be on soon. Okay, we are sponsored by Shalom Fogel, Nishmas Yaakov Zeb ben Yehuda Aryeh, Rivka Bas Yaakov Yosef, Tzivya Miriam Bas God, Yosef ben Tzion ben Yaakov Zev, and also for great shidduch for Chaya Tzivya Bas Shoshana Gittel, by Baruch Ian Lili Nishmas Yaakov Chaim ben Abba Esther Bas Yain Avram ben Shmuel HaKayin, by Yaakov, your name is Yaakov or Menachem? Menachem, yeah, right. Menachem, I know. Menachem Umansky, with the wish from Hashem that all those that are looking for a zivug should find it quickly and easily. By Eri Chazan, for the safety of Am Yisrael and the success and safety of the brave IDF. We're responsible for the spiritual, emotional, and physical protection for Yeshua Menachem Mendel, Ben Bela Shendel Rivka, and by Avi Spry, for Shalema for Taiba Bas Hinda, and for great zivugim for their daughter and their grandchildren. Okay, we are holding on the top line of Daf Yud Gimel Amud Aleph. I already made a bracha. Holding on the top line of Daf Yud Gimel Amud Aleph. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, we were talking about shops that when there was a holiday, some are decorated and some are not decorated. So with those that are not decorated, you could do business because they don't give a tax to the church. With those that are decorated, so it was the first opinion, and that was the opinion of Reish Lakish, is you could only do it, you could only are banned to do business with those that are decorated with myrtle and roses, because that myrtle and roses were already offered to the Avoda Zara. The takruvas Avoda Zara, which is also bahano, it's lo yidbak yad chot mu'menat chayrin. But those that are decorated with garlands of fruit, you're allowed to do business because you're not allowed to benefit from the Avoda Zara, but it's okay that you will cause tax to be given to the Avoda Zara. As Reish Lakish says, Avol mahana shari. To give benefit is permitted. Rabbi Yochanan says, afilu mutarais beperis, even if there's garlands of fruit, nami aser. And Rabbi Yochanan says, as Rabbi Kranz indignantly was saying, kal v'chaimer nena aser, if you benefit from them is aser, mahana, to benefit them and to cause something to be given to the church, like kol shechein. So meisvei, Rabbi Nasan Aimer Yom Shavodas Gechavim Maneches Bayas Hamechres, on a day where the church gives a tax-free amnesty. So Machrizin v'Aimrim, they make an announcement and they say, Kol mi shenoitel atara, whoever takes a garland, v'yaniach b'roisha, yo b'roish chamoyrei, and puts it on his head and the head of his donkey, thereby giving honor to the church, the covered avodas kechavim, yaniach lo yasameches, he should be free of the tax. V'im lav, but if not, al yaniach lo yasameches. So now the question is, what happens? Saba, are you missing a pair of glasses? No? Because we found a pair of glasses that says Goldman on it. No. So says the Gemara, Yehudi, a Jew, that's nimtza sham. You're not missing any glasses, Saba?
No, I just told you, I got my glasses on my head.
You don't have anything that says Goldman on it.
It's not a Goldman, Baruch Goldman.
Yeah, I know, but okay, don't think he has reading glasses, but okay.
I only have the glasses.
Okay. We're holding on Daf Yud Gimel Amid Aleph, and we're holding by Yehudi Shenimtza Sham, which is 8 lines from the top of Yud Gimel Amid Aleph. So Yehudi Shenimtza Sham, if somebody, who would be somebody, is Marshall still here? Oh, yeah. So Marshall, if Marshall is in the city, if Marshall is in the city, Ma Yasa, what should he do? Yaniach, for him to put the garland on his head, and the garland on the head of his donkey, Nimtzenena, then he would be benefiting because he's getting tax-free exemption. Lo Yaniach, if he doesn't put the garland and he pays the tax, Nimtza Ma'ana. It turns out that he's benefiting the church. Mikan Amru, from here we derive, if one does business in a market of idolatry, behema, the animal that he buys, tiaker, which we learned means that you should cut the tendons by the hoof. Peris, ksus, v'kelim, fruit, garments, and utensils, yirkavu, should be left to rot. Mois, v'klei matches, money and metal utensils which won't rot, yolichem liyam hamelech. And as we explained, ve'ezo iker, what's uprooting? Hamenasher parsoiseha, when one cuts the tendons, minar kuva lamata, below the knee. Ketani mias, it says, Yaniach, if you will put the garland and get a tax-free exemption in Sanana, you're benefiting. Lo Yaniach, if you don't put on the garland and you pay the tax, Nimtza Mahana. So this is a kash on Reish Lakish, who says that you are allowed to be Mahana, the church. Amar B'Shashi B'Reid Ravidi, Kesavar Rab Shimon Rakish, that pligi Rabbanan alei de Rab Nassan, that the Rabbanan argue on Rab Nassan, v'ano damrei k'Rabbanan the pligi alei. Rabbi Yochanan Savar, Rabbi Yochanan holds lei pligi, that the Rabbanan don't argue. Says, well, v'lei pligi, v'tanya, holchen liurid shalayv de kechavim, you could go to a market of Goyim, v'lei chemem beim avad mishvachos, you could buy from them animals, servants, maidservants, batim v'sadais, houses and fields, ukramim. And not only that, but you could record the purchase even in their goyish court, even though you're not supposed to go normally to their koyish alakim. The koyish of a malaber koyish alam, and you could record it and get it confirmed in their courts, because if you don't do that, you won't be able to defend your rights. And if you're a kayin, mitame b'chutzarts, you could go, even though they were geyser tuma al eretz ha'amimin. They were geyser tuma on the diaspora because they don't mark graves. But since it's only a tuma d'Rabbanan, mitame b'chutzarts, a kayin could enter into chutzarts ladain, to litigate, or la'arer iman. Or kashem shemitame b'chutzarts, just like he could go into the diaspora, he could also go into a cemetery. So right away the Gemara is aghast. A cemetery? It's biblically prohibited for a guy to go into a cemetery. It means that an area where a grave was plowed up, where there were guys 100 amas in each direction, it's a tumah d'Rabbanan, he's allowed to go in. Not only is a kohen allowed to go into the diaspora and into a beis hapras to litigate with them? Umetame lilmay Torah v'lisa isha. He could also go to the diaspora or into a beis hapras for the objective of learning Torah and to marry a wife. However, not always can you go to learn Torah. We don't have anybody to learn with in Eretz Yisrael. But if you have somebody to live in Eretz Yisrael, learn in Eretz Yisrael, then you can't go into the diaspora. Even if there's another Maggid share, Yatame. Why? Because a person has to learn with the person that he connects with. Not everybody connects with all people. Not everybody can learn from all people. As a case in point, was the Ma'aseh with Yosef HaKohen. Sheholach achar Rabbi Litzidain. He went out of Eretz Yisrael to Tzidain. Lilmay Torah. Even though there were plenty of people in Eretz Yisrael that he could have learned Torah from. V'amar Rabbi Yochanan. And Rabbi Yochanan says, Halacha k'Rabbi Yossi. So the Gemara says, from the fact that it says over here that the Chachamim say that you could go to a Yerid Shalayv Kechavim and buy animals, etc. So you see that we hold that we can, even though the money will end up going to the church, we can be mahana them, and that there are those that argue on Rab Nassim. Says the Gemara, Amalach Rab Yochanan L'Olam Lo Pligi. The like kasha can be like keach min hatager. One is where you're buying from a merchant, the shaklei michsemine, who takes the shaklei michsemine, that they take a tax from the buyer for the church. In other words, there's a tax that goes to the church, like a sales tax. And therefore that you're not allowed to do. The Brisa that says you could do it, from a regular homeowner, that doesn't take a tax from the church. I think it's already time to welcome in people, Michal and Saba, Eddie Chazan and Dr. Black, Yitzi Fuchs. It was great having you, Yitzi, by the Siyam. And we welcome in, I think that's Mo Kushner and Chaim Kramer. Chaim, we missed you by the Siyam. You're in Brooklyn. And we welcome in Dr. Guy and Yisrael Fisher and Marshall Castle, Shimon Klein, Rabbi Kranz, Yaakov Warman, Nachman Chapler, Bruce Eisenberg, Shalom Fogel, Stephen Holtzman, Yeshua Shmuel Eisenberg, Yitzi Muller, Abe Arbach, Ilya Shutman. Here in the shul, we have the pleasure of having Berish Gesseman, Menachem Yemansky, Ruven Shannet, Danny Vogel. So now, oh, okay. Omar, behema tiaker. You cut the hooves of the animal. Says the Gemara, I va'ikot tzar balichayim. What about tzar balichayim? And there is an opinion that tzar balichayim is doraisa. So how could you maim the animal? Amar Abaya, Amar Achmana, esusayim ta'aker. When it comes to idolatry, that's what the Torah says you should do. And their horses should be uprooted. Amar Mar, ve'izui iker, what is considered uprooting? Menasher parsosel minar kuva lamata. You cut their tendons from the knee and below. Says the Gemara, V'ramini, is that what we do? V'ramini, ei makdishim, ei machrimim, ei machrimim, marichim b'zman hazeh. You're not makdish to the temple, You don't give something to Bedek Habayis, to temple maintenance. You don't say Erki Olai, which also goes to the temple, Bizman Hazeh, because there is no temple nowadays. Now, V'im Hikdish, if you are Makdish something, the Hechrim dedicated to temple maintenance, the Herech, or said Erki Olai, Behema Ti'aker, an animal should be uprooted, Peris Ksus V'Kelim, fruit, garments and utensils, Yirkavu, should be left to rot. Moi Suklei Matches, and money and metal utensils, Yerlichem Liyam HaMelech. Ve'ezo Iker, now here, the Gemara says a different shot in Iker. Ve'ezo Iker, Noyel Delis Bifoneh, you lock the door in front of it, V'Meisa Me'eleh. So which one is it? Is it cutting the tendons under the knee, or under the shank, or is it closing the door and letting it die by itself? Amar Abaye Shani Hasam Mishum Bizayin Kachim. We don't want to cut the tendon and maim it, because since you dedicated it, it would be Bizayin Kachim to maim it. Says the Gemara, V'nishkatei mishkat, so then slaughter it. Says Gemara, Asabudli de Takal, then you might come to eat it. V'lishavye gistra, so chop it in half. It says the Gemara, Amar Abaye Amar Kra, V'nitatztem es mizbechaisem, you should destroy their altars. Lo yisasem kein la'Hashem Elokeichem, don't do that to your God. So you can't do a destruction of an animal. Rava says there's another reason why we don't cut the tendons by hektish, but close the door and let it die. It looks like you're making a blemish in kachim. So the Gemara says, I don't understand. If you're makdish it doesn't look like you're making a blemish. It actually is a blemish. Nira, mumalia, it is a blemish. Says the Gemara, no, the isra of being matal mum bekachim is only when the Beis Hamikdash is kaim. Hani mili b'zman shebeis hamikdash kaim dechazi lakrava, when it's fit to be offered. Hashta delay chazi lakrava less lanbad. There's no issue of making a mum. It just looks like you're making a bud. Says well, that's not true. If let's say Marshall has at the time of the Beis Hamikdash when he was younger, he has an animal that has a mum. The din is he's not allowed to make a mum, even though it already has a mum and is not fit for hakrava. Says the Gemara, "V'lahavi kamatul mum b'bal mum." The afagav the lechazi lakrava aser. Says the Gemara, that's different, because although the animal that has a mum is not fit for hakrava, but you could sell it and buy an animal that is fit for hakrava. Here, you can't even buy an animal with it which is fit for hakrava, because there's no Beis Hamikdash. So there's no issue of making a mum, but it appears to be like you're making mum b'kachim. And that's the difference that the Gemara makes. Balmum, Marshall's balmum at the time of the Beis Hamikdash, ne'edolei chazi legufei, even though you can't offer it on the mizbeach, l'demei chazi lafuke, you could sell it and bring something on the mizbeach. Here, where it's not fit to sell it, and it's not even fit to sell it, it's not fit for itself, so it's not actually asa to make a mum, but it's mirze, like you're making a mum b'kach. Now, and by the way, Rabbi say the Chumash here hopefully will be broadcasted tomorrow night back from South Fallsburg. Ashkechei Reb Yaina l'Rebbe Eloi. Reb Yaina found Rebbe Eloi the Koya Pischa de Tzur. He was by the entrance of Tyre. Amalei Kitani Behema Ti'aker. It says that if you buy the animal and give the money, the tax to the church, you have to uproot the animal. Eved mine. What if you buy a servant? Every Yisrael like him a. Of course, if you bought a Yid, then of course you don't maim the Yid. What about if you bought a Canaanite slave and the tax went to the church? What do? Amalei, my kamabaylach, what's the shaila Tanya? A pagan, and even Jews that are perpetual thieves, and they pasture with small livestock, which steals constantly. Loy malin, you don't lift them up from a pit. V'loy maridin, but you don't lower them down into a pit. So you see that you don't do something expressly to the body of an Eved. Amalei Rabbi Yirmiyah Rabbi Zera Ketani like Avoda Mishvachas Eved Yisrael, and it says that you could buy from them animals, servants, and maid servants. Is this an Eved Yisrael? Or Dilma Afilo Eved Ovid Kacham, even an Eved of a pagan. Amalei Mistaber Eved Yisrael. The Eved Ovid Kachavim L'may Mibaylei. I mean that you should buy it. What mitzvah is that that we should permit it when there might be something going to the church? Says the Gemara, there is a mitzvah. We know that when you buy him, he has all the mitzvahs of a woman. We learn it out, La Meisha. Says the Gemara, what do you mean? You're saying that we buy it because there's a mitzvah? What mitzvah is there in buying an animal? Amar Ravashi, Otta behema my machnas tachas kanfei shchina ika. Ella, the reason why you could do it is it because it weakens them. By draining them of their assets, it weakens the pagans. Ella mishum utayu. Says the Gemara, v'hachanami, by an animal too, dimimate, it weakens them and therefore it's shari. Reb Yaakov Zovin Sandola. Reb Yaakov bought a shoe from such a market of Avoda Zara. Reb Yirmiyah Zovin Pita. Reb Yirmiyah bought from them bread. So Amalei Chad Lechavre, one said to the other, Yasma Ovid Rabbi Chachma, you were acting like an orphan without a Rebbe. Would your Rebbe have done that? And Amalei Idach Yasma Ovid Rabbi Hachi. Now the Travayu Mibalabayas of him. They both bought from not from a tagar that pays a tax to the church, but from an homeowner. The kol chad v'chad saver, and each one thought the other bought it. Saver chavroi mitagar zavim. Right? Because we learned that you can't buy it from a merchant because he gives a sale tax to the church. That's forbidden. Because they take a tax for the church. Shaila is, what happened to B'tzedek Tishba and Amisecha? I mean, by each one, why didn't they judge the other favorably? You know what? Chol Avram, it's good to see you. We actually missed you by the Siyam very much.
I'm so sorry. I hope that you're doing well. It sounds like everyone's doing great.
Well, everyone is doing great. Sans Michal Avram. But we enjoy the fact that you're having some R&R in Florida. We're very happy for that.
I'm plan on being with you on, hopefully for Shabbos, for a beautiful Shabbos. Or I know you're going to be gone, but I'll be with the Kikela.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And
I'm looking forward to it.
and Thursday evening, Mirz Hashem, you'll have for the Shabbos day. But tomorrow night will be the Chumash shir.
Great. I'll plan on being on it. Thank you, sir.
Now, by the way, Michal Avram, you could tell your mother that I invite her to join us for the Chumash shir.
I would love her. I wouldn't tackle just for you, but tonight, it would be good.
Now, give her a gold embossed invitation from me.
I'll do that. I'll tell her that he likes you very much and she's active. And I'll tell her she's sleeping right now, but I will tell her.
Yeah, I know. You know, when you're around, you run her ragged.
Good that you notice. It's nice to be acknowledged in your lifetime.
Now, Amar Rab Abba Breid Rab Chia Ba Abba, Ilmole Haya Rab Yochanan Ha Zimna Ba'asvei de Kashakle Michsa Afilu Balabayas. If Rab Yochanan was living at that time where the church takes taxes from everyone, not only from a merchant, even from an amateur selling from his house, then have also. So then the question is, so then how did they buy the shoe and the bread? How did they buy it? This is a homeowner that doesn't regularly do business. In other words, he just happened to have a shoe and he sold it. He just happened to have bread and sold it. So if he's not a normal retailer, then they don't collect the tax, and therefore that's why they were allowed to do business with them. Okay, Rabbi, so we'll stop over here. Huh?
He sells on eBay, right?
Yeah, eBay, or from Marshall's dungeon. The Lamais is, Rabbi say, tomorrow night we will have the Chumash shir. We do have a sponsor, for, that's why you didn't hear me asking from it. And we remind you that the Mishnah Yomis was already done, and it is a very interesting Mishnah Yomis, so I remind you to take a look at it. Thank you for joining us, and have a wonderful evening.